Today's video topic is about the crazy quirks and features on Russia's Su-34 Fullback strike fighter, occupying a niche role within the Russian aerospace forces. The Heldik is a strike aircraft like no other. By looking in depth at the extraordinary fuel-carrying capability of the Russian aerospace forces' Sukhoi Su-34 Fullback strike aircraft, we return to look in detail at this fascinating warplane, which is more or less unique in its field today. While the Su-34 retains much in common with the Su-27 Flanker from which it was originally derived, its front end looks radically different, and the jet incorporates a variety of relatively unorthodox changes that optimize it to fulfill its primary strike role. First, it's worth looking at the origins of the Fullback, also known as the Heldik or Platypus, which currently serves exclusively with the Russian aerospace forces. The general aircraft concept has been around a long time already, having first been pitched as a successor to the swing-wing Su-24 Fencer as long ago as 1977. At this early stage, the Soviets envisaged a lightly modified Su-27 into which existing navigation attack sensors from the proven Su-24 could be added. At the same time, the Soviet Air Force was lukewarm to the idea. The Su-27 fighter wasn't yet established in service, and the definitive Su-24M version of the Fencer only began to roll out of the factory in 1979. It wasn't until June 1986 that the decision was formally taken to develop a strike flanker, initially known as the Su-27IB, signifying as a fighter-bomber. The prototype of the Su-27IB, 42 Blue, was built by Sukhoi in its Moscow workshop, using an adapted Su-27UB combat trainer airframe. The original tandem two-seat cockpit was replaced by an all-new forward fuselage with side-by-side seating. The prototype made its maiden flight on 13 April 1990 with Anatoly Ivanov at the controls. The program progressed amid the disruption of the collapse of the Soviet Union, with the aircraft plant at Novosibirsk, which had also built the Su-24, being tasked with full-scale production. A first series production jet from Novosibirsk flew in December 1993, and early the following year, the Su-34 designation was announced. The first few aircraft were used for trials of avionics and weapons, but the development program was a long one, and it wasn't until 2000 that a prototype equipped with radar was able to use this sensor for the practice launch of an anti-ship missile. The following year, the sixth aircraft was handed over for trials at the Aktyabansk test facility as the first Su-34 with a full avionics suite. In 2003, the Russian Air Force revised its requirements for the Su-34, and test aircraft were reworked to meet the new, more demanding specifications. The reworked aircraft resumed state evaluation in 2006, a process that took almost another 4 years. During this period, combat trials were undertaken during Moscow's war in Georgia in 2008, where the 7th and 8th aircraft were used to jam Georgian air defense radars. In September 2011, the then Commander-in-Chief of the Russian Air Force, Alexander Zelin, officially recommended the Su-34 be introduced to service, and, finally, in March 2014, the Fullback was commissioned into service. Successive contracts have provided the Russian aerospace forces with around 140 Su-34s, in addition to test airframes. Russian fullbacks have been an enduring presence in Syria since Moscow launched its military intervention in that country's civil war in September 2015. Commencing so soon after official service entry, these ongoing combat trials have played a significant role in proving out the Su-34 concept, as well as its avionics and in its primary air-to-ground role, the radar can reportedly detect a large warship at a range of more than 80 miles, a rail bridge at over 60 miles, or a moving truck at 19 miles. These figures are provided for the export version of the radar, so it's likely that the original Russian equipment possesses superior characteristics, although the radar range performance is less impressive when compared to the F-15E Strike Eagle's original AN-APG-70, let alone its new AN-APG-82 with active electronically scanned array, ESA. As well as the radar, the Su-34's internal pastel radar warning receiver can also be used for targeting, detecting threat emitters that can then be engaged using anti-radiation missiles, primarily the Kh-31P. For the first time in the Flanker family, the Su-34 introduced side-by-side seating, with the pilot on the left and a navigator weapons system operator on the right. The crew enters the roomy cockpit via a ladder that drops down from the nosewheel bay, and there is no standard provision to open the canopy. Both crewmen are provided with 0-0 ejection seats, which are fired upwards after an explosive charge removes the main canopy. Reflecting the fact that the Su-34 was also expected to operate over hostile air defenses, the entire cockpit is surrounded by a titanium alloy box, which is more than 6 inches thick. Not surprisingly, the crew of the Su-34 have a much more modern working environment than their counterparts flying the Su-24. The cockpit is dominated by 5 large multifunctional liquid crystal displays, LCDs, and there is also a head-up display for the pilot. Ramenskoye company is responsible for the human aircraft interface, with the K-102 targeting and navigation suite bringing together all the aircraft's avionics equipment. The K-102 is based around a central computer, the data display system, as well as the laser TV sight, navigation suite, and other systems. Beyond the primary multifunction LCDs, there is also a backup set of analog instruments. On more than one occasion, a Su-34 has also been noted with a Garmin off-the-shelf GPS added to the cockpit to provide an additional, accurate, navigation capability. The Platon, meaning Sycamore, laser TV targeting system is a key part of the Su-34's ability to attack ground targets with high accuracy, day and night, although not necessarily in adverse weather since it lacks thermal imaging capability. The Platon is also one of the reasons why you won't see a targeting pod carried on one of the Fullback's external hardpoints, although that's also a trend reflected across the Russian air arms. Since, traditionally, Soviet-designed ground attack aircraft types were built only for use against ground targets, they tended to receive built-in targeting systems rather than the pods that were typically added to Western fighters to give them enhanced air-to-ground functions. Initially installed in the 6th prototype in a simplified fixed version, the production Su-34 incorporates the Platon in a retractable ventral mounting. When the aircraft is in cruising flight, the Platon's optical package is stowed inside the fuselage. It then pops out, with its forward edge making a wedge shape, into the airstream when a target is being surveilled or engaged. The system offers only a very limited field of view and tracking range, especially when compared to a targeting pod with gimbaled sensor head. This means it's suitable for some higher altitude operations, but is far less useful at lower levels. The Platon system guides laser munitions, both powered air-to-surface missiles and freefall laser-guided bombs, the largest of which, the CAB 1500L, weighs over 3,300 pounds. Overall, its capability is much more limited compared to modern advanced targeting pods, but it does provide the Su-34 with precision attack and limited surveillance capabilities without impacting the aerodynamics of the aircraft.